It's Kevin. Hey.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back. How you doing?
Good, good.
Good.
It's always been. And so, why don't we quickly look at the agenda? So there's a hiring update. I gave you some of that bit, but we also have a new draft of the system backend job. The name had changed a bit from different points in time. But I took a stab at it, and then Kevin looked at it. So if you wanted to take a pass, Dan.
Yeah, I have that tab open. We're talking about the. Oh, wait a second. No, we're talking about the name change of the system and backend job.
Sorry.
It says draft job PT system administrator.
No, sorry. Here, I'll just post it in the Zoom chat.
Okay.
This is so I don't know if you were here for this, Dan, but we got the Doris Duke money.
Yes, I was there for that, I think.
So it's not as much. It's like I think 40,000, which is something.
Yeah.
So we need to be realistic too of like what the expectation is.
Right.
But yeah, if you have some brain cycles, just to give a quick read through, that'd be great. And then I was also hoping to, well, why don't we just run through some updates, and then maybe we can take a quick look at some of the issues remaining for 002, and circle back with Rob and try to make some decisions, because Kevin had raised the idea that maybe some of these really aren't quite 002, and if they aren't, can we just push the staging and test this out and see what happens when we start pulling from.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
From way back. So yeah, Kevin, did you have any updates?
Not really. I was camping last week, so I didn't get anything done. I mean, I still had the same question, and maybe Dan, because he wasn't here last week, might have some input. But can you hear me okay?
That's better. Ray, can you mute? You're getting a little bit of background.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So in the agenda, it's the same question from last week. But Rob, I looked through the 002 milestones for UI, and a lot of them could be punted. But Rob felt that removing the page formatting for diffs was especially important for 002, and I wasn't exactly sure why that's important to get off of Versionista. So
remove the page formatting for diffs. Oh, huh. I do remember a conversation with him about thinking this was more important. So we're talking about like the readability view?
Yeah, something like that. Because if there's a change in a menu and it's hard to see, so you can strip all the styling out, then you can see where the change is actually happening. Because the visual diff won't show anything because it's within the menu, and then yeah.
Yeah, I think we came around to saying that is a really, really useful heuristic. That when you're doing this HTML diffing, you have to make so many inferences about what is too much detail and what is not enough, especially if things are moving around the page.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you just do this like paradoxically more aggressive filtering on what you're even going to show and then diff based on that gets you much closer to what is a human useful thing. But why that's required for feature parity with Versionista, I wouldn't understand. So I would say that's like an important thing. And maybe Rob is arguing more urgent than getting off of Versionista in terms of making our team effective, given that we have some money for Versionista now. That's the best I could do to reconstruct what he might be arguing.
Okay.
Okay, because the other question is, what's the difference between this and this view and sort of the highlight text changes? Because if you just remove all the styling, it should just be the content, right?
But you do keep the sense of like bulleted lists and some sense of hierarchy, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. It would maintain a general layout. Okay.
yeah.
Right, and it might also like be smart enough to remove ad banners on the side or something like that. I mean, when I think about what readability does, it tries to focus on like the central article div and not the surrounding junk.
Right. Right.
We ultimately care about all of it, so it's all down to heuristics. It's all down to getting it right most of the time, because no human has the time to actually look at the source code diff, which would be the accurate thing to do.
So sometimes there are like panels, like tabs. And so if the change was in a tab that's not the default tab that's showing, you don't see it in the rendered view. Would this fix that, or is not?
Maybe
Yes.
that's a
Yeah,
big one.
it would address that. That's
So then
why-
you would just like stack the tabs or something?
yeah,
like
because
that.
it would remove all styling, and usually tabs are just like bullet points or divs that are styled in a specific way.
So the actual look would just be like just content, like just all the content like smushed out.
Yeah, it would just be like
vertically stacked.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
So Kevin, circling back to like what your question was, I guess you're sort of saying you're arguing for that is not a 002 blocker, and I think I agree with you. So the only way I could agree with Rob on this, without him here to speak for himself, is maybe guess that he thinks it's worth paying for another month of Versionista and prioritizing this over some other stuff that we need for 002. Because it would be such a useful view to have. And to that I'll say, maybe.
It's slightly it's like it's slightly related to this like proxy problem with like so like the iframes right now they're just like stuff with HTML. It's not actually like a URL that the iframes are linked to.
Right.
It's slightly related to it, but that's why I was confused, because he references that issue as well. So do you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying
Yeah, I do. That's complicated. I don't know if we need to do that in this pass or not. And I don't know. The biggest problem I have being useful in this conversation is I never really got into the weeds of how Versionista works and what its limitations are. But my sense was that it also had this problem with iPhone.
But I don't think he was saying we naturally need to get that complicated. I mean, the link you're talking about is the diff that simplifies the layout page, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm just saying like the conversation stemmed from that proxying stuff, like being able to do more about the page if it was like had a we were serving it ourselves as opposed to stuffing HTML, and it's harder to like change things around, affect the CSS and stuff like that. So we could affect it beforehand and then serve that, and it's easier to like visualize it the way that we want. I think that's what my understanding.
Okay.
Quick and dirty is just like try to just remove styling and then just do that.
Right. So that
remove styling and ignore what happens in the iframe, because we can't remove that styling. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the strategy then is just to go for the the quick and dirtiest. That if it can't render some stuff, then it just can't render some stuff. I mean, it's going to be potentially more than we have now, and so that give you enough. So
I can start working on it. I just wasn't sure like. Well, I imagine we'll still be paying for Versionista as we transition over, but like. If we wanted to start transitioning and testing and stuff like that, I didn't imagine that this would block that. So that was just the main question. Is this I can begin working on it because it's probably like the next thing I should be working on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I don't know if it's blocking something or not. Like I don't know if like how much priority I should be like trying to get it done as quickly as possible, or just trying to get it done so that so it's nice to have. That's the question.
I see. So it seems like the things that are blocking so it's a two-phase switch. It's turn on the fire hose with IA, and think about IA as a thing that is critical that we rely on for work, and then turn off the fire hose with Versionista. And now we need to sort of think about those steps separately. And I would say that this is not a blocker for either of those, but the blockers for turning the IA fire hose now are merging the ingest script and merging some kind of monitoring on whether it's working, right? And then the include version stuff so that we don't overwhelm, so that our queries aren't overwhelmed by all the new versions.
The include version stuff is okay. Like I remember talking about. So the UI doesn't hit those endpoints anymore.
Okay.
So, and it's the only thing that would make that type of request.
Okay. So we could probably check that box then on 109.
Oh no. I mean, we still want to remove it in DB, and there's a PR there. But the UI, the first one, the get versions from versions endpoint, that's what I'm talking about. That's good enough. And then the review and merge at the end, remove include versions from DB is like, we should remove it, but we don't have to right now because, yeah.
Got it. That would be 310.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the UI doesn't need it right now, but there's no reason to remove it from the DB just in case of emergencies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm caught up. So yeah, I don't know what I guess. Then I wouldn't say it would. How do I say this? It seems like it makes sense for you to work on that, Kevin.
Yeah, I agree. Because it'll have to get done anyway. So if we do push it off a little bit, it'll still be useful at some point.
That's not blocking anything. So that's all I wanted.
And then I also, I finally got around and made the updates to the health check, the AI health check. And so I put comments on it. There was like a Circle CI thing that I didn't know how to do. But everything else, all of Rob's other comments I addressed.
Okay.
But if he can't look at it, maybe Dan, you could actually take a peek too.
Yeah, I started to look at that this morning. I have that tab open still, so I will.
Okay.
There's obviously a lot of code here. I will go through it.
Cool.
Yep.
Should we add that to the the milestone issues thing? I didn't realize. I think just to keep track of it.
Yeah, I can do that. Well, I'll do it right after the call. Cool. So Dan, do you want to give a quick update on next steps for the?
Yeah, sure. So where I last left off with that is we have components that need to be public facing, right? So the UI obviously needs to be public facing, and the DB needs to be public facing because the client side UI makes requests against it. Lazily, we also make the diffing server public facing, but we have concerns about that because the diffing server is like an invitation for abuse. People can use our server to hammer other websites and ask them for their content in order to diff it, thereby anonymizing their attacks through us, which is bad. So we know we want to put that on a private network. And then there are these other pieces like the Redis queue and the import workers that also don't need to be publicly exposed. Since we already were making this public in the old deployment, I did not let myself get slowed down by figuring out how to make these things private on AWS. But we really should. And I've been struggling a little bit with the plumbing of sort of the I don't know, discovery is not the right word, but making sure these things get stood up by Ansible in the right order, where each thing knows how to find the other things it wants to talk to. This is the problem that Kubernetes solves beautifully for free. So it's a sort of a new piece of this, the piece that you have to worry about when you do it with Ansible that you don't have to worry about when you do it with Kubernetes. And I grossly underestimated how much work that piece would be. So that's why we're here. Starting again, looking at all the interruptions that have gone into this, we probably should have just gone with the Kubernetes thing to start. But having gotten this far, and now that we have Francis, let's finish this thing. And what he has volunteered to do is basically properly configure Amazon to declare a virtual private cloud that says all of these services can talk to each other as much as they want, and we will opt in the DB and the UI as things that you can also see from the public web. I probably could have figured that out, probably could still figure it out, but if he has some capacity, I think he's done this kind of thing before and understands some better high-level tooling for configuring it, so we should definitely let him do that.
So then should I just, in the chain, just say, go ahead and do it in that email?
Yeah.
In case that wasn't clear?
Yeah, I was hoping that we could talk about it today on the call, but I don't really have any concerns with him running with it and putting pull requests against the repo.
Okay.
Because I think he understands well what needs to be done. So.
Right. Do you want to write that email or should I?
I'll be happy to write that email.
Okay. Because in case you want to put any technical things in it. Then,
Sure.
that'd be great. Thanks.
Thanks, Brett.
Okay. And then what else? Yeah. So, and with the system sketch, Kevin, are you good? Have you had a chance to look at it with the?
There's still some notes, but I looked at it and then I just didn't have a chance to comment yet, but I will. I have a doctor's appointment after this meeting though, so probably later in the afternoon for me.
Whenever you get to it, that's fine. I'll make a quick iteration as quick as possible. Cool. Is there anything else?
I think so.
Like the scheduling thing, was it scheduling how to push the staging and then the other, was it the scripts and stuff?
Yeah.
So we had a problem with like the scraping script. Dan, do you know where that runs and how to check on that?
The scraping script. Oh, I did know.
Right. Because I think something toppled over like last week, and
Yeah.
I don't think anything broke. I think it just needed to have you turned it on and off again, kind of thing. Because I didn't see any like hot fixes. So
Yeah. I did get a Sentry log, and it was just like for some reason it couldn't scrape one of the accounts. But then I didn't know like how to go to check and how it would fix it. Well, I'll fix it, but then I don't think he had time to explain like how he did it.
I think it's on one of the AWS machines, but I remember the place that I maybe guessed it might be. It wasn't, and I don't remember what the answer was. I'm sorry that I'm so useless.
okay, maybe.
Yeah, I imagine he rebooted the machine. It's run by a cron.
Right. We should try to document that. Speaking of, I thought and I just lost it. Sorry. So did you know that for Versionista, we store an extra copy of the metadata and raw versions on Google Cloud Server?
Yes, I did know that.
And
on Google Cloud Server? No, I didn't.
Okay. Is it okay? Because my question was, I just wanted to, Rob mentioned that in some of the feedback he gave me to the diagram, which it's fine because I just didn't know. And I just wanted to make sure. I was going to ask you if you knew. I think it's just like a straight up copy, and is that straight up copy just for like having an extra backup on a different service?
Yes,
but
that seems a little hardcore even for us. I don't know. Now, who's paying for that? Themselves people money?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. So okay.
I think this is a problem. I probably knew these answers once, but we're circling back to the step too infrequently. We really need like semi-private deployment. And I'm as guilty as anyone of not writing that. But I guess along the lines of the readmes of the web monitoring Ansible and web monitoring, we need that for what we have now.
Okay. Cool.
Prioritize that against the other stuff.
Okay. So that's all I have. I just want to quickly.
Thanks for the notes.
Okay. I think we're good then.
All right, guys. Slowly but surely.
So Dan, will you? I guess you're. I don't know. Like the ingestion IA stuff. Is that something you think you'll be working on?
I was going to review Ray's PR and look at this higher in Google Doc and focus on helping Francis finish Ansible or establishing if that's fully handed off or not. Then I will reorient to IA ingest full time.
Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Good on that.
And Kevin, you're gonna work on this this readability view or whatever we call it.
Yeah, we're here just stripping the CSS styles. I think that's like the
Cool.
And oh yeah, Dan, if you could take a peek at the job description for the backend system.
Yep, that's on my list.
Awesome.
Cool.
All right.
All right.
Cool. See you guys.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.